So we've just taken a look at Twitter Bootstrap, but I don't want you to download the files from the Twitter Bootstrap site. What I want you to do is go to this site called Initializr.com. And this site has files which include Bootstrap, but include some other very, very helpful things that Twitter Bootstrap doesn't include. So come to this site. It's Initializr with a ZR.com. When you get to it, you'll see this page, and I'd like you to click on the Bootstrap, the blue button here, and it then takes you to an area where you can fine-tune. Don't change any of these settings. Simply download it. And this is downloaded here. I'm going to unpack it. And then I have a file here called Initializr. I'm going to copy it and overwrite an older version. Here we are here. And if we take a look at this, you can see that it's going to give us a page which has menus, drop down, a hero box, as they call it here, and 3 columns and a footer. And this is meant to get you started. But what I want you to do is to rename it, call it index-original. And we're going to keep this in our back pocket. We're not going to change this. We're going to use this as reference. But what we're going to do here is to adapt the content that I have previously, my index.html, to this new Bootstrap Initializr set of files. This is the index.html that I had created previously. Ralph Spoil Sport Motors. And what we're going to do is move the files from our old site to the new site. So first thing we'll do is we'll move the fave icon. I'm going to copy it and overwrite the old one. There it is there. I'll copy index.html, paste it. I'll copy pages, paste that, and images as well. Next thing we have to do, we have to actually edit the HTML. So I'm going to open both indexoriginal.html and index.html. So here's our index, and here's our index original. So what I'm going to do is then copy the stuff in the Bootstrap or Initializr index and put it into index.html. So we'll copy this and paste this right in under the doc type. And then place some things from the head into the head of the old document. And there are certain things that are the same. So we don't need duplicates. I'll delete my old meta character set. I'll move title here. And I'll cut that out and put this here. And I'll adjust the indent by shifting all this left. So we have a link to the style sheet. Now, this style sheet, we will no longer use styles.css. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open styles.css and copy it into main.css, because main.css is what Initializr uses as user-defined styles. So the boilerplate or the blank version has this main and it has nothing in it, and this is where you put your styles. So let's open our old styles.css. Copy that, and then we'll open in CSS main.css, and we'll paste those styles in. Save that, and then we can put styles.css away because we won't be using that any longer. Okay, so we've done the head items. Let's just take a quick look. Yes, we've copied everything from the head. Next, there are a couple of statements for the body at the beginning of the body. So we'll copy this stuff and paste it into body at the top here. Paste. And then at the bottom of the body, there are some scripts. So we'll copy these scripts. We'll take a look in more detail later on in this video of what all this stuff does, but for now I'm just going to copy and paste. So before the end of the body, we'll place these items. Okay. Now, if I save this and we look at this, let's put the old site away. If I look at this, it should give me something that looks very, very similar to the original. And if we look at, this is the original one, and this is the new one using Initializr or Bootstrap. Now you may notice that there are some differences. You can see that there's a bigger gap here, and there's no margin on the edges. But let's go in, and if we want to get this a little bit closer to the original, let's experiment a little bit. The original file has a div, a division, using the class container. And this is a container which will enclose the main part of the document, and it will also give us certain advantages by applying a lot of the Bootstrap grids and styles to whatever's inside. So I'm going to copy this and in the body, place that in there, and here at the bottom I'm going to close the division, and then I'm going to add a footer with the horizontal rule. Copy that and paste that here. And then within the div, I will want to indent all of this material. Okay. So we'll save it and we'll take a look. Now you can see here that we have a little bit more of a margin on the edges, and here's our horizontal rule and the footer, which has the copyright. The div, which is the container class, adds the functionality of the grid that's in Bootstrap, and you can see that as I adjust the widths of the browser, it is making changes to the layout. And that's a function of Bootstrap. That's one of the functions of Bootstrap. Now let's quickly take a look at the elements that we've added by moving to Bootstrap Initializr. This first section under the doctype statement is some information to the browser to use JavaScript to adjust for particular browsers. In this case, it's Internet Explorer 7 and Internet Explorer 8. Internet Explorer in the past has had a bad reputation in the web development community because it's rendered things in a very non-standard way, different from Firefox, from Netscape in the old days, from Safari, from Opera. But now with Internet Explorer 9, Microsoft has mended its ways, so to speak, and is now playing by the same rules as everyone else. So as we progress in the web world through to later versions of Internet Explorer 8, as people upgrade to Internet Explorer 9, these kinds of hacks will no longer be necessary. The hacks are embedded within a JavaScript called Modernizer. And so as we move along in time, Modernizer will be less and less useful, and eventually we won't need it, hopefully. We have some other style sheets, in particular the Bootstrap minimum style sheet. With style sheets, you can minimize style sheets by taking out all of the air or the white space or the spaces and have just characters. If we were to actually look at this CSS, the min, you can see, let's soft wrap it, you can see that all of the styles are just kind of clumped together very densely, as opposed to a cleaner look of a style sheet which has things nicely indented. For human consumption, the Bootstrap min, it doesn't need to be edited, so it's just all the air has been taken out. And this is a little bit more efficient to download. It only needs to get downloaded to the browser when the page is first downloaded, and then it stays within the memory of the user's browser, and it just does its business in the background. Here's a style which is, rather than being in an external style sheet, this style is defined within the head. And this is something that developers used to do a lot of. It's not done that much anymore. In general, you are highly encouraged to store your styles in an external style sheet. But you can put it in individual pages as well. And in this case, there is a padding top of 60 pixels and padding bottom of 40 pixels. If I wanted to get rid of that padding at the top, this is where I would do it. And you can see it's been put just in this page, and if I were to comment this out and save it and view it, you can see now I'm hugging the top and the bottom. of the page. So you can keep that or you can delete it. This is the way you do it. There's also a link to the style sheet Bootstrap responsive minimized style sheet. And then here's the main.css, and this is what you'll use when you create your own styles. You'll be editing this file, and this is the file and no others will you edit. If you start to mess around with the Bootstrap or the Bootstrap responsive style sheets, you'll get yourself into a world of hurt. So stay out of it. And finally, a link to the Modernizer JavaScript. In the body, we have some notes. If the browser is Internet Explorer 7, it will say to you, you are using an outdated browser. Please upgrade your browser. Recommending Google Chrome to improve your experience. And then a comment that says where this particular code comes from. Down at the bottom, we have some scripts. These are things that are executed when the page loads. They're at the bottom because it, in general, allows for the user to see the page. It will execute the scripts as the page is coming up, rather than have the scripts execute at the top and force the user to sit looking at a blank page. The script happens at the bottom so that the browser can start the render of the page while the scripts are loading. So in this case, there's a JavaScript called jQuery, which is used for all sorts of things that we might want to employ in our website, for example, like the carousel. And here's our Bootstrap JavaScript and a main JavaScript. Finally, there's something which is here waiting for you to actually enable it. This is a script for Google Analytics. All you have to do is to create a Google Analytics account, which will give you an account number, which is this place here. You simply replace this text with your Google Analytics number, and it will then start to record user activity, and it will graph it for you. So this concludes the introduction to Bootstrap and Initializr.